live in studio, WLCN, Lincoln Country, County Road 2250, 96.3. Viewpoint, the program of personalities, politicians, and perspectives. Talking with Dustin Fulton, pastor of the Jefferson Street Christian Church, and probably one of the guiding lights, or not probably, is one of the guiding lights of a project known as Together for Lincoln, doing a lot of good for some people who need some help. One of the things I wanted to talk about is something a little more dear to my heart, is you're going to have a golf scramble coming up here real soon on the 18th, on Saturday.
Yeah, not this Saturday, but
that
next
golf
Saturday.
Scramble. And I want to urge those who out there who like to swing that club, this is a good chance to have some fun, and it doesn't cost us very much, only $50 a head to enter this tournament. It's a lot of fun, so I'm going to let Dustin take the baton from there.
Okay, yeah, our Together for Lincoln Golf Scramble is coming up Saturday, August 18th, here at North Greens Golf Course in Atlanta. This is a fun golf scramble. We always like to have as much fun as possible. It starts at 8 o'clock, $50 per person, includes 18 holes, cart, and we'll have a pork chop sandwich dinner afterwards as well. And this is just, we have decided that we're going to have a different game on every hole. We did this last year, had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah,
we've got one hole where we have an 8-inch hole. Standard golf hole is just a little over 4 inches, and so it looks like this big old hole that you're putting towards, and yet you'd be amazed at how often you still miss it. You think you couldn't miss it all. Then we do another hole that's got a couple of pins on it, and then we've got a hole where we make you putt left-handed. Unless you're left-handed, then you got to turn around, putt right-handed, and we just have a lot of different fun like that. Last year at the end of the scramble, we weren't sure how it was going to go, how people were going to respond, but people had a great time, and people just really enjoyed themselves. And that's the name of the game with these scrambles. This isn't a hyper-competitive type of thing. It's something that whether you're a good golfer or an average golfer or like most golfers, you can have a good time. We put a bogey limit on every hole. We don't want anybody putting down any double bogeys. We just say, hey,
yeah, moves the play along too.
Right. Let's keep it moving. Let's have a good time. Yeah. We don't want to be out there for 6 hours. We want to have a nice, enjoyable round, and just enjoy the relationships with each other.
I'll have to disqualify myself for the longest drive. I presume the record still stands, but one time, and I think today, I had the record for the longest drive ever hit us on Saint-Cloud Golf Course just outside Paris, France. I sliced the ball into an open gondola car. Train was going through the golf course, and the last I saw, that ball was headed for Le Havre or somewhere.
It might still be going.
So obviously that was the longest drive in history on that course.
Yeah.
Now, how do people sign up for the golf tournament? And it's for the females and the males.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes, that's a lot of fun.
Yep. And you can sign up. You can get applications online at togetherforlincoln.com and download those there. You can also stop by Jefferson Street Christian Church if you've got any questions. Stop by Monday through Thursdays, and we'd be more than happy to get you a form. And some partner churches also have the forms. We have a deadline on here of next Monday, but if you think you're getting a team together, you can give me a call or whatever, and we'll save you a spot, and we'd love to hear back from you. We do have some spaces still available. Last year we had 15 teams, which on a 9-hole course pretty much maxes it out, and that was perfect. And so we've got a few more openings left, and if you're a single and don't have a team and would like to play in it, we can get a team together for you. We can help to put some folks together on your team for you.
By the way, just a side issue, this year being what it has been climate-wise, I've been up here at North Greens and played this year. Those folks are doing an awfully good job trying to hold that thing together.
Yeah, I've heard great things so far. Yeah.
In remarkable shape, considering the weather that we have and haven't had, and the lack of rain and so forth. So you'll enjoy playing the course up there, folks.
Well, and we're really glad for the people up there in Atlanta who have pulled together and kept that golf course open with the transition and everything that happened over the spring or over the winter time. And they've been very good to work with. Those folks up there have just been very accommodating and been able to pull together whatever it is that we need and able to do this, and they're obviously very fair rates, and so we're really glad to work with them.
That's great. And you've always had a church service then in the evening out at NLC you. And let's talk about that, because I've attended that, and that was very meaningful.
Yeah, normally on the Sunday of Together for Lincoln, we go ahead and have the worship service. Since we're doing it on a Saturday this year, we'll still have the worship service on Sunday, so it might give people a chance to go home, take a shower, and wait around till the day after. So the auditorium ought to smell better this year than it has in previous years. But our worship service will be at 7 p.m. on Sunday, Sunday the 30th of September, and it's very much has respective of the churches in Together for Lincoln, where we have a lot of different backgrounds represented, some traditional, some contemporary, everything in between. We always have someone that brings a powerful message as well, and we try to do all that in about an hour. And but it's just I've heard a lot of people talk about the beauty of the evening is in seeing everybody come worship together as one body, saying, hey, we're all under the one God. We're all, all the folks, all the churches that are partnering here believe in Jesus Christ, and we're gonna focus on what we have in common, and it's really powerful when you think about it. Some people have worked next to people for maybe 20, 30 years, maybe even more than that. When their family's been hurting, they've been praying for them. They're brothers and sisters in Christ together, but go to different churches, and they've all the things that they've shared throughout life, they've never worshiped together. And so that's one of the powerful statements that we've had through the worship services is just the meaningfulness of coming together with other like-minded Christians and worshiping together, maybe for the first time in their lives, and the joy that brings a lot of people. Nobody really cares about what the worship service ends up looking like at the end of the day. What they care about on Together for Lincoln is that everybody's together, everybody's worshiping together, and just giving God the praise for His love for us and how we've been able to share that with others in our community.
There's an ancillary issue to the volunteering too, and that some churches kind of like to take a little pardonable pride in the fact that their church has a pretty good representation on the volunteer force. That's kind of a neat little thing.
Oh yeah, it's something I think that we all want to see as many of our people involved as possible. I get emails, from people that say, we're really sorry, but we've got this family event planned that day, and you can tell that they're really grieving not being able to participate, because it has been something that has been meaningful to them. And always send back, say, hey, that's all right, thanks, thanks for your service previously, hopefully next year will work. And say, hey, if there's some other weekend where you can get out and serve a neighbor, we don't have to be the ones to organize loving your neighbor. That's something that we all need to be looking out for how we can do. And this project is about, we've talked about that, making this from just one day to making it a way of life for people, and that's very, very meaningful to us. And the real value behind Together for Lincoln is not just what happens on one day, but what continues to happen throughout the course of the year when people go out and serve folks when they see people in need. Our hope, for example, in the nursing homes is that maybe there's some relationships built. You meet somebody out there that find out they really don't have a lot of family in the area, or you go out there and you visit them, you just find out that they're just really good people and you really enjoyed having conversation with them, that you won't say, well, I'll see you next year, but that you might go back out once a month and visit them as well, and just bless them and be blessed by them as well through that visit.
Dustin, there's another aspect to this volunteering too. Some of us sort of getting to the point where maybe physically that's maybe a stretch or two. Some of us in that category might be really desirous of helping, and it wouldn't be untoward to suggest that maybe a check for Together for Lincoln is a very viable way of helping.
Absolutely, and that's something that I mentioned before. Even though we've received this $10,000 grant, which has been a huge blessing to us, something that we're really celebrating. $10,000 doesn't go very far to cover the 37 weatherization projects that we had there, and we also are over 40 other applications that we have, which is way ahead of schedule for where we normally are at this time. So to have 77 projects, I'm pretty sure we're going to be well over 100 again this year, so we're about halfway towards our goal of $34,000, which is what we've estimated would cover the needs that we have before us. And so if you'd like to send us a check, you're more than welcome to do so at Together for Lincoln, and you can just send it to P.O. Box 501, and that's here in Lincoln, 62656. And also, if you have, we also have like the golf scramble. Last year, the golf scramble raised about $2,500 for Together for Lincoln. And if you'd like to get a team in for that, you could do that, or you could be a whole sponsor for $75. And we can put your business name or name of, we have Sunday school classes that sponsored him last year and everything else. Just give me a call at Jefferson Street Christian Church. Number there is 732-9294. My extension's 106. Even if it's night and I'm not there, you can leave a message at extension 106.
And you'll get back to us.
Absolutely. Especially if you're sending money, I'll get back to you. So.
Well, there is that.
Let's be honest.
It's going to take a bunch. And in the event that you wouldn't meet that goal, God forbid, what do you have to do? Do you have to turn some away then? Have you had to do that ever?
Yeah, there are always different qualifications, and we have a team that sorts through and helps determine the applications that we can and can't do. Sometimes the amount of work is simply too big, or sometimes you know, we don't want to just make cosmetic appearances when there's something rotten underneath as well, and sometimes it looks like this just needs painted or something, and we get in there and realize that, you know, there's a huge structural issue and it's just too big for the scope of Together for Lincoln, and we always hate that, but that's okay. That's something we've had to become okay with in some of those situations. You know, financially speaking, yeah, if we don't have the funds to do it, then we just have to limit what we can do to help. We might not be able to, you know, there might be, you know, for example, in a house that needs several windows replaced, we might be able to only handle the worst one or something like that and help out, which is still a help, but at the same time, you know, it's not as much help as we could give them, and that's something that we really want to do the best we can in every situation.
Well, maybe with someone who needs 5 windows and you can do 1, maybe next year you could do another. It would be slower, but you'd accomplish something anyway.
Yeah, we're going to do the best we can, and I just need to give a shout out to the rest of the Together for Lincoln team, and you know, Norm Newhouse is our president. He was last year's Courier Citizen of the Month, or Citizen of the Year.
Should have been too.
Absolutely deserved that, not only for his work with Together for Lincoln, but for his work with the food pantry as well. And man, he really has become like the face of Together for Lincoln in many ways, where we see him out serving and recognize his contribution to our community. He's got a great team of guys. I'm not going to mention any other names because, you know, you start to mention names and you forget a bunch and everying else. Don't want to turn this into sound like a NASCAR racing show or anything else, naming off all the sponsors or anything. But that group of guys that goes out and builds the wheelchair ramps every year, you know, they love doing it. They've been great supporters, and it's just beautiful to see how they're so willing to go out and help those who are in need. And you know, when more and more folks, you know, nearing retirement age and everything else, and you know, you can travel so much in retirement, but then at the end of the day, you want to have something to do on a regular basis. And you know, Norm and his group, that's what they've done. They've said, hey, let's serve as many people as possible, and just do the best we can. I think it's just a great example for our society and great example for our community about how we can just restore that pride to Lincoln that we have in our community, and that pride comes through service.
Amen. Yeah, well, Norman, it goes without saying, I think all 4 of us in here agree that he's wonderful. Yeah. But I think his work for Habitat goes beyond just the designated day.
Oh, yeah.
Now, you have him, and you keep mentioning his boys. Yeah, that work with him. And do they do some building? Do they do some planning? Do they do some fundraising? Because I know that they work more than a day.
Well, most of his group is very dedicated to building the actual ramps themselves. We have another team of volunteers that makes up our Together for Lincoln board. We meet monthly for at least 6 months leading up to Together for Lincoln, sometimes more than that. And they've been doing a lot of the behind-the-scenes work, that, you know, making phone calls and everything else. This year, we did officially become a 501c3 organization. So so any donation is tax deductible, which is just a great step for us, and that enabled us to get the $10,000 grant. You know, and I don't know if anybody's ever done the work to become a 501c3, but
it's a big deal.
That's a big deal, and we've had some lawyers donate their time as well to help out with that. We've had people behind the scenes doing all kinds of paperwork and everything else, and then people who have been going out and making these connections so that we can get the grants, because there's a lot of grant money that's available out there, and but it is hard work to do that. And maybe you're not the best at swinging a hammer, but man, if you're a grant writer or something else, that can help us tremendously. And so, we definitely want to raise money from within the community, but we also recognize that there's money outside the community that can come into our community that can bless us all. And so again, it's a community project, and it's just the beauty of the church is that we all have different gifts, we all have different talents, but in Together for Lincoln, there's a place for every one of those gifts to serve in some way or another. We have our kitchen crew that gets the meals together. I know that their record, they did about, I think they did 900 sack lunches in under an hour one year, and they kind of turned into a pride thing. It's kind of like, I hate to use the NASCAR illustration again, but it's kind of like a pit stop. You go in there, and you can't believe how quick they can put that sandwich together and everything else. And
their sandwiches are welcome.
Absolutely. It's always a bright spot in the day. And one of the things that is important about this as well is the fellowship aspect, is that when you're serving next to people, you get to know people, you find out you have common interests, and during the middle of the day when you sit down and have a meal together, you pray together, that's an added element in there that I really think helps make Together for Lincoln a special day.
Dustin, in this course of this short 4-year history, and it's going to continue on for a long time, we all hope, has there been any one single incident that comes to mind that may have been a little unusual, or humorous, or maybe not so funny?
Well, not that I can mention. No, we've
not on the air anyway.
I think the overwhelming thankfulness that you see in people. Sometimes it's even been on simple projects. Hanging up a door for somebody.
Yeah.
That at the end of the day, it really doesn't take that much effort. Some of the other projects were big deals where, it took a couple of days, to prepare for it, and then the Together for Lincoln Day was able to accomplish it, whether it be a deck or, replacing boards on an unsafe deck, or, the wheelchair ramp, and just seeing the people, weep, and seeing people really rejoice there. That's been the real beauty for us. And, sometimes the nature of a wheelchair ramp is that, a person that needs a wheelchair ramp often is towards the end of their life. Often, not always. And actually, the first ramp that we put up way back 4 years ago, the person passed on since then, and the family said, "Hey, would you like to reuse this ramp for somebody else?" And that was something that we were able to do and to pass on and to help with somebody else. And so, there's a great picture there of the community involvement and the recognition of blessing other people.
Being
I think
able
we
to share the gift.
perhaps might observe, Justin, that we're not into remodeling projects here. This is repair and help project as opposed to remodel. We should probably make that clear.
Right. This isn't just about beautification. This is primarily about meeting people's basic needs. And one of the great things that does stand out in my mind is one of the pastors here in town, Robert Long. During our first Together for Lincoln, was struggling with cancer, and he was given only 6 months to live. And during the worship service that evening, they pulled him up on the stage and had all the pastors from all different denominations and everything pray over him. And it's 3.5 years later, and he's still here, and he is healthy as can be. And just seeing that value that was added to his life, how he was blessed through the many Christians from different denominations coming together and praying for him, just seeing how God worked through that was a real blessing. And that might be the most visual reminder that we have. God doesn't work that way all the time. We wish he did, but he doesn't work that way all the time. But yet, on special days like this, I think he really does pour out his blessings and help us to see what happens when we do work together. There's a passage of Scripture that talks about how blessed it is when brothers live together in unity. It's out of the Psalms. I think it might be Psalm 137 or 133, and it says it's like the the oil being poured down on Aaron's beard and on down to his robe. And it's really this weird passage, but it's talking about that the long beards they would have had in the Old Testament days, and how like when they anoint a priest or when they anoint somebody for God's service, how this isn't a stingy kind of anointing. This is something where God pours out his richest blessings, and that when we live together in unity, I think that's what happens. We see that in our community. When we work together, we can do great things. When we fight each other, it doesn't work out. There are times where we have to stand up and where we do have to fight for different causes.
Could we take a minute and call Congress and give them that message a little bit?
Hey, that'd be awesome. That'd be great.
I'm sure
I think we all agree
be
that
glad
that's
to put that call through for us.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's something that we want to lead the way by service, and part of service is denying ourselves and saying, hey, we're going to work together for the common good, and we're going to bless people in the name of Christ, and we're going to set aside our differences and hope that can bring unity. So often when we want to bring unity, we talk about our differences as opposed to what we have in common. And we have to start with what we have in common, and that's that we want to serve people in the name of Christ. And we go from there, and we find out that we have a lot more in common than we do apart.
How wonderful the world would be if we could seek out our commonalities instead of our differences.
Absolutely.
We would have a lot fewer problems.
And that's what Together for Lincoln is about. We're about leading the way. You don't have to be a member of a church. We always say you don't have to be, baptized, christened, or circumcised, or anything else to come help out. But we, as the churches, we want to lead the way and show people that we can work together, that we can love one another unconditionally, that we can serve one another and help those who are in need.
Judith K., all organizations would be so blessed to have somebody as enthused and as knowledgeable as Dustin.
Yes.
And Justin, too.
Yeah.
And Norman. Let's not forget Norman.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, there are so many good people.
We got a lot of folks who do that,
Yep, and again, we've all got different gifts. My gift is talking to people. If you want me to go out and build 50 wheelchair ramps, that's not going to be a pretty sight.
Well, you do need to work. You do need to work a little bit on your ability to articulate. That's something and perhaps Judy and I can find somebody to help you out on that a little bit.
Well, if I can get to the point where I can talk like you, Bill, we will have it made. That's
there
for sure.
We go.
Well, we appreciate very much your time, and I also appreciate. We all appreciate your talent in not only in your chosen work for God, but in the community. You're a good cell in the community. We appreciate your time. I want to always try to. The comment tonight or this morning is not germane to the conversation, but it's germane to what's going on in the country today. Old Tom Jefferson was a pretty smart old guy.
Yeah, he was.
And if you just Google him, you can come up, or just go to the dictionary and come up with a plethora of wisdoms of Tom Jefferson. And old Tom said, remember when he said this, folks, my reading of history convinces me that most bad government results from too much government. Thank you for Viewpoint.